Welcome to the Nonsense in the Chaos. I'm your host, Jolie Rose. I am loving the heat. I feel like it feels problematic, doesn't it? Because it's so hot. And this is the meme that you see all the time, but it's true that this is going to be the coldest summer that we'll remember. And it's going to just keep getting hotter and hotter. And that does feel scary. And we are going to need to, get air conditioning, change the way that we live because our climates are not the same as they were. And it is pretty lovely to be here in the Channel Islands with weather like this. It's holiday weather and it's here on our front doorstep, and it's felt very like we're on a lovely holiday this summer. It's been wonderful having Ellie here living with us, and we've spent a lot of time down at Port de Moulin, which is the beach just down through the valley where we live now. And it's really easy for us to carry picnic blankets, and Ellie's an amazing chef, so she keeps cooking delicious food. And we went down yesterday with a whole chicken in a bucket, in a mayonnaise bucket, whole roasted chicken with a delicious mango salad and a green salsa that she'd made. It was absolutely banging. It was so delicious. And we had like a bunch of bowls and wine, and we just sat down there all day. We were there all day, sitting in the sun, drawing labyrinths on stones, swimming. I got stung by a jellyfish, which hurt a little bit. It hurts like a stinging nettle sting. It's not that bad, but it really freaked Ellie out because she's got a bit of a phobia of something in the sea getting her. And so she then screamed and ran out of the sea and hurt herself from cutting herself on the rocks, which she ended up being greater wounded than I was from the jellyfish. And I was just like, well, you should not do that. But we did some jumping. We jumped off of rocks into the sea, and I got Ellie to do some jumping, and that was scary for her, but she did it, and it was really good, and I was very proud of her. And I introduced them to my throne. There's an amazing throne. There's this huge rock down facing the sea. And so if you're sat on it, no one's going to see you. No one will know you're there. And you're looking out to sea. And when the tides come in and come up, I'm not sure where it will get up to on the rock. I think if it was a really high tide, then the throne would be submerged, but not always. And Ellie was saying that I should do it as a practice, as a meditation practice, to just sit in the throne and wait for the sea to come up. And I really loved that idea. So I'm going to give that a go. It's this amazing giant black dolomite rock facing out to sea, and I just sit there and watch the tide come in and sit there on my rock. It was beautiful. So yeah, enjoyed sharing that with them. Diz was scrambling off, investigating all day long. Me and Ellie were sort of more sitting, chatting and laughing and going for a swim every now and then. Cara came to join us as well. He's the friend of mine that brought me to Sark in the first place. So I knew her from Kentwell Hall Tudor reenactment, and she came here as a carriage driver 8 years ago. And as soon as she got here, she phoned me up and said, "Jolie, it's just like Kentwell. You'll love it here. You've got to come over." So I came over with my friend Josie for the summer solstice 8 years ago. Almost, just gone past my anniversary. And we built a sacred fire made out of the 9 sacred woods over at the Dolmen in Little Sark. And we made this tiny little sacred fire, and we jumped over it to impregnate ourselves with creative energy for the year ahead. And we had a little feast and, lovely time at the Dolmen. And then came back to visit 2 more times the following year, including being here for the last Roots Festival, which was an amazing, cute little festival, kind of similar to Beltane. It's quite a similar vibe to Beltane, put on by Ros and Laszlo. I interviewed Ros for the podcast. She's my friend who's the New Zealander. They put on a beautiful festival, and it was so funny because I came and I had such an amazing time with Ros and Laszlo, and I was really sad that they left and went to New Zealand just as I arrived here, because I would have liked to have hung out with them here on the island. It would have been great to be friends with them here. But I didn't know like a big group of my friends in the Channel Islands at that point, and they're all in the photos, like all my photos of Roots Festival. I know all the people in the background now, but I didn't know them at the time. So that's always funny when the pictures come up on Facebook. It's like, oh, that's you. Oh, that's you. It's really funny. So that's been, nice. And then, then I moved over here and Cara was here, but she's just been coming backwards and forwards between Sark and the UK for a while now, and is kind of more based in the UK, so I don't get to see her very often. So it was nice that she was over and we had a lovely time sat on the beach and hanging out, and that was lovely. I've been feeling a bit unwell. I just got my period yesterday, and it was late, and I've had probably about a week of just being zapped of energy, absolutely shattered, and fighting a cold, and just really zonked. And got a lot to do, got lots of ideas for next year, which is brilliant. Feeling pretty inspired for all things next year. But it's just prioritising and working out what I can do, how, and I need to get going on a few things that need to start now. Yeah, it's interesting times trying to get everything together. We're going to be hopefully putting on 2 more festivals in Sark next year, and one's going to be a pirate Fief Day folk festival, which will be the first weekend of August, and the other's going to be a Norman metal festival the first weekend of June. Yeah, lots to do, and we've got other ideas for other things as well, so watch this space. There's going to be a lot going on next year, but I think it feels like lots of possibilities that are really exciting, so that's cool. So yeah, I'll tell you more as it comes to pass. But yeah, so I'm very feeling like in a sort of summer haze bubble at the moment. I don't know how you guys are feeling about the UK. I've been sort of watching from afar what's been going on, and I'm excited about the new leadership and hopeful that maybe things might improve. And I think the main thing I feel is that we can't ignore or deny climate change anymore when it's so clearly not normal what's going on around us. And yeah, but I also feel, I was talking with Cara about this yesterday, that I have things coming up on my Facebook that was all the things that I've panicked about over the years. Like, we've only got 7 years left of bananas. And it was a post that came up that was 9 years old. And it's made me go, oh, do you know what? A lot of this stuff is taking a lot longer to unfold than the one thinks it's going to. And that actually this is possibly several generations and slow change. And this is what the apocalypse looks like. We're in it. And this is it. And it's all the things we imagined it would be, but it also doesn't look like how we imagined it would look, which is interesting, isn't it? And I feel like life's like that in general. You know, I've always said about how we'll have an image in our head of what we want life to be like and what we want the future to be like. And it looks like this postcard of, I don't know, Miami or something. And you're so fixated on the postcard and life having to look a certain way that you miss that behind the postcard there's this incredible reality that is there trying to get your attention and begging for you to participate in it, but you're so busy ignoring it and looking to, I don't know, some idea of grandeur that you miss out on something that is like, life is incredible wherever you are, whatever you're doing. You don't have to obtain anything or change anything. Where you are and what is happening in front of you is gobsmacking. And so it's normally a change of mind state rather than a physical change that transforms your life. And I found that repeatedly throughout my own life. It's been literally mindset changing that has taken me to places and spaces and experiences and feelings that I never even dreamed I was going to have. And I'm very grateful for them. But yeah, sometimes you've just got to let go of that postcard. You've got to rip it up and see what's in front of you. I was listening to a podcast on narcissism because I'm really fascinated by narcissism. It's something that I got accused of repeatedly from my ex-husband, and he kept trying to do interventions on me so that I would come to terms with and understand that I was a narcissist. And so I've done a lot of research into it to see whether I am, whether it's true, and had actually quite a full-blown experience of spending a lot of time with a narcissist. And it was an incredible eye-opener in terms of, first of all, it was really useful because I know I'm not one now, which was it. The actual experience was grueling and not one that I would have wished upon myself, but it was actually incredibly useful. And I can see now what narcissism actually looks like and what impact it has on people. And, you know, it's not fun for anyone involved, really, because the person who's the narcissist is not ever in a peaceful state. They're always searching and hurting people along the way. They don't probably experience that particularly. They're too busy with their own whatever, but it's painful for them because they're not ever comfortable. The grass is always greener, and they're chasing some ideal the whole time, and they think that the world owes them something, and that it's not fair. You know, it's not fair. Why is it not working out the way you want it to be? Yeah, it was interesting. It was just very interesting to be around. They're just literally, you're irrelevant unless you're relevant. But if you're not relevant to whatever it is that they are hoping to achieve, then you're just an extra in a TV show. You know, you're absolutely of no interest in them whatsoever. And there was no empathy or kindness at all. And it was a real eye-opener, but I think actually very useful. And so I was listening to this podcast a couple of days ago because it is a subject that I'm interested in. And in that, it was saying that people who are narcissists will think they're special and think that they're like more special than other people. There's something more important about them than other people. And then I've also been reading my Sand Talk book, the Aboriginal indigenous ways of living, sort of advice to the Western world. And in that, it's saying how everyone has a special talent and is an individual, but you are not better than anyone else. You're all part of the collective. And that was the thing that spoke to me, because I think it's really hard in terms of those two traits for narcissistic traits. We live in a world that all of our kids' films, all of our narratives really are about the person finding out that they're special and rising to a challenge and conquering and fulfilling on whatever challenge requirements there are and winning and succeeding and, you know, saving the day or doing whatever the thing is that they need to do. And it's there to inspire the viewer, to make them feel, yes, you can do this too. You're special too. We're all special. You're all special. But you definitely get brought up with this idea of you're special. You're the lead character in this film called Life, and to go for it. And I remember when I was younger, in fact, not even younger, like just throughout my life, when I've heard people like Prince or Madonna, showing my age here, talking on the radio about them becoming stars and whether they dreamed that's what they do when they were younger. And they were like, oh, I always knew I was going to be something. And I don't think you can be what they are without having intended to do so. You know, I think you have to have believed right from the start that you had some star quality and that you wanted to entertain and you wanted to do something and you wanted to be up there doing stuff. And I was blessed, cursed, born with that trait. I was born with that trait. So that element of what makes someone a narcissist, I do have. But what I think has sort of come through now as I'm older, in hindsight, is I think I was a bit neurodivergent, and that's why I was a bit different I felt different to my classmates. I think I felt like there was something about me that was different to my classmates that made me feel, just made me feel different. And because I had lovely parents who made me believe in myself, but also nurtured and supported my artistic qualities and took me to all of the dance schools and drama clubs and things in the area. And I had a lot of fun, you know, growing up being a performer and doing things creative, and would get a lot of praise for what I was doing. So there was a part of me that felt like I was special and I did have star qualities and I could go and make it and be somebody and just go off and and I also have been very lucky as well, like Julie Birchall paying for me to go to drama school and things like just weird lucky things have happened to me throughout my life. I've had lots of lucky breaks. It just seemed like it was a given that I was going to end up doing something and being really successful as some sort of famous actress or writer or something. And I think I don't think many people get to places of success without believing that they can do it. So does that mean everyone who's a successful artist, performer, writer, whatever they are, is a narcissist? I don't think they are. That doesn't come across in the interviewing world that they're all narcissists. I'm sure a lot of them are, or some of them are, but it doesn't feel like it's overwhelmingly the case that that's how everyone is. But I think it was definitely the Aboriginal way of thinking that spoke to me the most. That, even if you're the stick collector, you're the stick collector. That you're really good at it. Like, you spot sticks before anyone else does. You have a really good way of carrying them. You've got big hands, whatever it is in the community, that's your role. And being the stick collector is no less or more than being the song holder, or the, like the village shaman, or the strongest man, or whatever it is. Like, every role is a respected and appreciated role that is part of the overall community. And each single piece is necessary and important and valued, and no one else can do what you do. You do it really well, and it's your thing, and you're brilliant at that. And so everybody's unique, everyone's individual, everyone's special, but everyone is, and no one's more special than anyone else. You're just all special, which we all are. Bloody hell, life is amazing, and it's a miracle that we're here, and we're all little miracles. And yeah, I feel like failure in my trajectory or life path is I think because my life's become so weird and quirky, to say it's a failure sort of seems insane, because yeah, but what? you live the most weird life there is. And if that's not success, then I don't know what is. Like, even if you're just sort of in EastEnders, or what I mean, it's like, oh, you managed to get an agent and you got some jobs acting, and maybe you were in a few good things, that's not got the same soul and spirit as what I've ended up doing. So my stick collector-ness is being a weird, quirky witch in a valley, being a bog witch in a valley. And I've been this forever. My nickname's been Jolly Bog Witch Cabbage since I was in my early 20s. And I've been doing the Tudor thing, being a grotty little whore and a witch at Kentwell since I was, a teenager, and working with archetypes, working with Jonathan Kay, working with the Fool, being a performer, but not being, I did stand-up comedy, and I got through to the regional finals of the BBC New Comedy Awards, and then I got through to the semi-finals of the Channel 4 So You Think You're Funny Awards, and performed at Edinburgh in the Gilded Balloon. And it was, that was so big, but I didn't like the way I felt in that environment, with everyone trying to impress each other with how funny they are, and just like trying to be the funniest all the time, even when we were off stage. It was just this really competitive, very masculine world. And people always saying, oh, you'll do really well because there aren't any funny female comedians. And you're like, there are loads. What are you talking about? French and Saunders, Joe Brown, Victoria Wood, they were all Pam Eyre. Like, there was all these women that were there already. But I would have been in the wave of like Nina Conti and Lucy Porter and people like that. I was that age, and we were all starting at the same time. So if I'd stuck at it, I'd be one of those sort of established comedians now. But I didn't feel comfortable in that environment. And when a friend of mine gave me a book called The History of Clowns for Beginners, so it's a really good for beginners series that anyone a bit older probably remembers. It was a precursor to the thingy for dummies, which is still around. But this was a cartoon illustrated book that actually went properly in depth, because I did postmodernism in my English literature degree, and the postmodernism for beginners book went further than my degree went in terms of information and stuff that was in there. It covered everything in my degree and more. So they were very thorough books. And this one's called The History of Clowns for Beginners by, randomly, someone called Joe Lee. So Joe, Joelee. Highly recommend getting this book. I've just bought another copy of it recently. They're quite hard to get because they're out of print now. But absolutely brilliant book. And it talks about how clowns come from the village shaman, and then became their own art form, but all of the things that they can do, like change sex or walk on the ceiling, or it's all sort of Looney Tunes, like running off a cliff and they're not thinking about gravity until you think about it, and then suddenly you fall down. And that's all clowning, which is all shamanic. And so it goes through the stories of tricksters and fools and clowns throughout history and in all the myths and religions. And then, it comes all the way through to like Charlie Chaplin and Laurel and Hardy and the Looney Tunes and things. And it's absolutely fascinating. And someone bought me that book as a gift, my friend Ashab. And as soon as I read it, I was like, oh yeah, it says the difference between a comedian and a clown is there's a difference between telling a joke and being one. And when I read that, I was like, oh yeah, no, I am a joke. I'm a joke. Like I take things quite seriously. I'm the fool guy. Is that what that means? I don't know if that's the right term, but the one that's the straight one. I would be the Hardy in Laurel and Hardy, and then there'd be a silly one. In fact, I've almost got both in me. There's a very silly part of me that is stupid and doesn't care, and then there's a very serious part of me, so I've got both of them in me, and it's about learning to play both the parts and being able to bring both parts out, which I don't have a full mastery of. Like clowning and fooling is amazing because you're just working with your own ego and your own shit forever, and so you can't really get away from it. You can maybe relax it a little bit, or I don't know, slightly change, but you're not going to change that much. Everyone always does the same thing. Doesn't matter how amazing they are, what an amazing performer they are. I watched Jonathan. There's this woman who's a brilliant performer who's done loads of things throughout her life, and she's an older lady. Her name's Kath Burlinson, and she's incredible performer. And I watched her come and do some fooling with Jonathan Kane. She'd done fooling years ago with him. And I just watched Jonathan just sort of go sigh and just kind of tut. And I was like, what? Because what she was doing was brilliant. It was really entertaining. We were thoroughly enjoying ourselves watching it. And he went, yes, but she always does this. And as soon as he said it, I was like, yeah, because I always do what I do. And even though I might do it really well, what he wants to see us break free from our egos and to not keep being Jolie and to not keep being Kath, but to be able to, for Jolie to be Kath or for Kath to be Jolie, for us to do something completely different to what we would normally do. And that's what he was getting frustrated at, which is fascinating. But we always do the same thing, whatever our thing is. And that's what your archetype is. And that's what I help people learn on the Which Fool Are You course. What is your thing that you are, that you do? And once you know it better, you can kind of play around with cracking out of it a bit more. But so let's see what the universe wants us to talk about today. If you enjoy this podcast, then please consider supporting me on Patreon, which is www.patreon.com/Jolie Rose. This is an independent podcast, and I am free to talk about whatever I want and share people, explore things, whatever it is that is of interest to me at that moment in time. And to be able to keep it a free, open source podcast, it's vital that I don't have to accept advertisers or just play into the capitalist game, which I don't want to do. I want to be free and I want to be independent, and I think it's a really generous, kind way of supporting an artist that you appreciate, that you enjoy what they're doing, and for us be in a cyclical agreement where I create a podcast every week for you that you enjoy listening to, and in return you give me £3 a month if that's all you're able to afford, and that is enough to just keep me ticking along. And thoroughly appreciated. If you're able to give a bit more, there's £9 a month and you get the videos to this podcast, which is just a little extra to say thank you. But you can give whatever you want. I mean, it's up to you, whatever you're able to afford. But it's all extremely appreciated, and it allows this to remain independent, and it allows me to keep going. And I thoroughly appreciate everyone who does support me. And if you aren't able to support financially, then feel free to just share, leave reviews, enjoy the podcast, and just be there as a listener. I really appreciate it. I had the most listens I've ever had this week, so thank you for everyone who's been here. Hugely appreciated. And yeah, the Which Fool Are You course is nearly coming to an end. We've got our closing ceremony for the Dark Moon next week, and it's been awesome. I've been enjoying discovering sort of a new archetype. It's weird. It's almost like my overall archetype. The archetype of me is what I've come to. It doesn't have a name, and it feels like it shouldn't have a name, but it is this sort of the stick collector essence of me. What makes Jolie unique and Jolie-ish, and the original, no one else is like this version of me that's no more special than anyone else, but no one else is like it either. So that's been where I've been exploring in the Which Fool Are You course. There'll be another one next year. And then I think I'm going to be looking at doing a writing retreat in the near future. So, and I've also got an idea of doing some circle plays as well. So hopefully we'll watch this, keep staying tuned, and I'll let you know as things unfold. And now on with the show. So this is the same rune I pulled last week, I think, which was Answers, which is the mouth. So it looks like an F. It's an upside down F with the lines pointing downwards. And it means a spiritual message, which is still what is unfolding with the Which Fool Are You course. So we went past the full moon. We're in the waning moon phase now, and we're exploring, critiquing and reviewing where we've got to, what we feel is right, but also then like looking at our lives and reframing our whole lives based on what has come through and what we've been discovering. So for me, I've made a fanzine. I've just ordered a printer because I need to make a new my altar, which will be of images that are to do with this theme, this archetype. And some of the characters in my lineage, I've got Mr. Miyagi, Uncle Iroh from The Last Airbender, Avatar, Jabberwocky, Odin, the Hermit card, the Hierophant card, Tardigrades, the Rainbow Serpent, the Fool, Boomtown, Eric the Snail, Jonathan K. the Fool, Bilbo Baggins, Daisies, the Flower, Bumblebees. So I don't really know what this archetype is. It's sort of like, at the moment, I've called it the origin stage, because the origin stage is where I have performed so far at Boomtown, where I'm opening and I'm standing on an energy line, and I'm opening the festival with 60,000 people. Well, I think we have 40,000. No, maybe there was 60,000. I think there was 60,000 people in front of me. There was humans as far as I could see, and I was literally conducting a spell while standing on the energy line. I was shifting the timeline, and I was pushing for all to be well, and for us all to be well, and for us to learn to love and worship and cherish the land. And it was really wonderful, actually. I felt, well, I just remember there was a group of girls in front of me down below watching, and they couldn't hear what I was saying, but they could see that I was casting a spell, and they were just whooping me and going, yeah, come on. And it was so powerful, and it is a real honour to be there. And I feel like Boomtown in general, you are making magic. You're making magical things happen for the young people that are there, and it feels like we're not preaching to the converted. We're actually making a difference. We're affecting change. And that feels important. So it's big work that we do there, and it's coming up soon. Like, that's kind of my next thing that's happening, is opening Boomtown. I believe I'm going to be on the Lion's Den stage, which is massive and is going to be even bigger audience. So absolutely insane. And I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, we're going to be doing that soon. And then I'm a bit worried about how hot it's going to be. I'm a bit worried about the heat, but we just need to make sure we get some good fans. So yeah, I think I'm feeling a bit in an in-between place at the moment. I feel like I'm in a liminal space at the moment where this year was a 10-year, so it was a year for turning shit into gold. And it was a year where I was concentrating on changing my relationship to money, and that I've done that. Absolutely bloody done it. I now have a house with no mortgage, and we're looking at ways of making money from the house that as a proper money maker. And we've had, that's some of the ideas that are brewing at the moment. So we've got some possible things that we could explore doing. We need to just find out a few legality things, first of all, whether it's actually possible. But we've got a few things that we'd like to do here. And if we were able to do that, then that would change everything for us completely. And yeah, it's just trying to work it out as we're going along. Like what do we want to do? And for coming to this valley feels like it's got some work it wants me to do here, and I'm being open to that. And we've been spending a lot of time in her, and I've been loving being in the house, and I've been going down to the valley to hang out at the beach, and we've really enjoyed that, and being at the Nook. It's such a ridiculously special place that it feels like that's my everything at the moment. And so how to, I don't know, the curiosity of what is here and how to engage with it and share it. I mean, I love the throne. I definitely want to sit on the throne. Yeah, just trusting the universe that this is what's meant to be going on, that we're following our bliss, that we're in flow. And it's all through the universe giving you little nods and winks as to this is the right direction. But I suppose what I'm questioning in myself here now is how do I keep it interesting and fresh? Or, yeah, I want it to be interesting for you. So if if I'm pulling the same rune and I'm still here in the valley, I want to keep it being interesting for you still as the listeners to be enjoying the journey with me. Yeah, so I don't know. I think there's so much about having to slow down and our attention having to slow down because we're so overwhelmed with content and the speed of content. And I'm completely guilty of it myself. Like I have significantly reduced my attention span and my capacity for paying attention. I can hardly do anything anymore. I mean, I'm wondering how, I struggle to read an email. I struggle to read a post. I can flick past things when I've only half read them, even though I'm interested in them. And I do it all the time. And I'm trying to make myself sit and read more, like actual books. So I've been reading the Sand Talk book. I haven't got through it that quickly. I'm about halfway through, so still got some way to go with that. But yeah, I think what I've been doing with the valley is to try and sit down and be in the valley and actually do less, get more from less has been my motto since I moved to Sark. But yeah, it's that attention span. So I feel like, how do I share what's new? I mean, I guess yesterday we were trying to draw labyrinths, and that was fun. And Sark's got lots of different beaches, and every beach the geology is different. And on the Port de Moulin beach we have a lot of dolomite, and there's the Neolithic dolomite mine next to my house. So people have been mining dolomite from this part of the island for thousands of years, and it's perfect for making runes with. So when we do the immersion weekends in Sark, we go to the Port de Moulin beach and we collect stones to make our rune set with, and then we'll draw on the stones in a gold marker pen. So you have this lovely black stone with a gold symbol on it, like the ones that I have in front of me. And yeah, the whole beach is covered in incredible stones, and you can't help but pick them up and want to keep them. They're all lovely, rolled, smooth, kind of rune-sized stones, and all bigger ones that are perfect for drawing labyrinths on. And yeah, the sea is crystal clear. We had purple jellyfish yesterday, which is the one that stung me. So they're kind of small. They can get quite big, but only sort of saucer size. And they have four purple circles in the middle of them. And one of their tentacles wrapped around my arm. So I've got a stinging, you can see on the video, there's a tentacle mark on my arm where it wrapped around me and stung me. But it just does feel like a stinging little sting. And yeah, you can see right down to the bottom of the sea, all the way through the sea. It's crystal, crystal clear. We were jumping, so it was high enough for us to be able to jump off of about a metre high rock into the sea. It was about a metre and a half down, 2 metres down, and not touch the bottom and be crystal clear. And we could see detail in what was underneath. And yeah, all the stones were all smooth and lovely. You got a lot of barnacles that are sharp and they bite you. So I mean, they're not bites. It's just where you get scratched by them. They're called barnacle bites. That's what we call them in the business over here. And Ash was telling me, actually, my friend Ash, who lives here, that in the sailing community, if someone needed to be punished, corporal punishment, being flayed under the boat was a thing. So they tie you up and you'd get dragged under the boat. So not only would you be drowning, but you'd be getting scratched and cut to pieces on the barnacles, which is horrible. That is a grim way to go. I would not like to have gone like that. That's not nice. And also there's a hoop in a metal plate in the floor with a post that's out to sea, and that's where in the old days in Sark people would be tied to the post and drown as a way of punishment in the old days. So as the tide came in, you would slowly drown. Again, not a nice way to go. If you've ever read Toilers of the Sea by Victor Hugo, I think of that a lot, and it's a really good book. If you haven't read Victor Hugo's Toilers of the Sea, I highly recommend it. It's nuts. It's so nuts. It's quite supernatural, and then a love story, and then also a detective story, and then a nature story. Like there's so much going on in it. It's a lot of different things in one, and one of the best endings I've ever read. Absolutely brilliant. So I highly recommend that. And also Ebenezer Le Page is a book set in Guernsey, and it's this old man, and it's his whole life, and it goes through the war and the occupation, and it's brilliant. It's so well written, and it's got his accent, and it's got a lot of local dialect and detail. It's actually really good to listen to it in audiobooks, because that's what a Guernsey accent sounds like. And yeah, really brilliant book that I highly recommend. And again, has one of the best endings in English literature. It's just so good. So yeah, 2 of the best endings I've ever read in a book have both been set in the Channel Islands and written by locals. So we've got a good art scene over here. There's a lot of creative people, and we do, yeah, what's his face wrote Gormenghast lived here as well. His name has currently escaped me. Melvin Peake. Yeah, Melvin Peake lived here and was part of a whole artist movement that used to be here. And our gallery stores, which is the sort of hardware and stationery shop, like the kind of bits and bobs shop, is in what used to be an arts community gallery space that a bunch of artists created just before the war, and then they all had to go off and fight in the war, and then that was the end of that. But it's the building's still there, and it's now our kind of hardware shop, but it's called the Gallery Stores. But we do have an art gallery that just opened this year, and so a bit of a revival of that side of things. We've got lots of amazing painters, we've got lots of writers. It's just a really cool creative space to be, and so yeah, I can understand why it attracts creative souls to come and live here. And it would be nice to have a bit more of an arty community again. There's a few of us knocking around, but not enough really to call it an artist community per se. But there is a lot of creative stuff happening here still. So yeah. So with this rune, it's telling us to keep following the signs, keep trusting the universe that all is unfolding as it should be. And next week I'm going to be talking to a friend of mine who is very involved in the pilgrimage scene. And with pilgrimage, you absolutely trust the universe and follow the signs and go where the universe leads you. And that's one of the things that's beautiful about it. I really enjoy that aspect of pilgrimage. So yeah, it's going to be nice to be chatting about pilgrimage with my friend next week. And now time for a chaos crusade. So what I want you to do is I want you to go out into nature, and or it doesn't have to be nature, it could be in your urban environment, but I want you to choose somewhere that's your throne. So my throne is this huge rock. It's a massive square slab of rock, like huge, probably the size of a house. It's the size of a house. It's a square slab. And on the side facing the sea, there's a ledge that you can lie on quite happily. You could naked sunbathe on there and no one would be able to see you. And then from that, there's a chair with an armrest. It's so good. So I can put my drink there and I can just sit there and lean on my armrest. And then there's another ledge up above. So we were joking that Ellie was going to lie on the ledge below me and then Diz was going to be on the ledge above me. But yeah, it was my beautiful throne. And so I've got this lovely throne. And like I say, I want to sit there and as a meditation, I want to watch the tide come in. But I want you to find somewhere in your environment that can be your throne. It could be a bench in a park. It can be up a tree. It could be on a boulder somewhere. It could be on a step somewhere. But it's somewhere that you claim as your throne that makes you feel powerful and majestic and in awe or commanding or whatever that means, like a throne, a seat of power that makes you feel like you're in a seat of power. And I want you to sit in it and I want you to feel that place of power and feel it and feel what that means to you and just explore what sovereignty is to you. Because sovereignty, we called it, where you're being of service. And again, like the king is special, but he's only as special as everything else. Like he's the head of the body, but you still need a body. You can't just be a head. You need arms, legs, fingers, organs, skin. You need all the other bits because a head on its own is just a beheaded head. It's no use to anyone. It's part of the body politic. It's every single part of that body is important. So what's your throne? What's your part in the picture? How are you being of service to the body? How are you being of service to the overall picture? And to just feel that and feel your power, feel the strength and importance of who you are and your individuality, but also the equality of your being, like how you're equal to all other beings, including rocks and trees and birds and insects. We're all one and we're all equally as important as each other. And to share in that space with other beings, but you to sit in your throne of power as you, as your stick collectorness, and to be in your stick collector's throne, whatever that be, whatever your thing is, that you sit there in your throne and just feel how you feel from that. And yeah, I'm always interested to hear if anyone wants to share anything about any of the Chaos Crusades or just has any feedback or anything you want to, any insights that come through. I'd like to hear them. So please do share them with me. And I will be back next week with an interview. And yeah, then I will probably be sharing more about this funny little island and what's been going on here. Okay, well, thank you so much for being here. Lots of love, and I shall see thee anon.